Jennifer Shen, we've got someone who was shot and killed. There's bullet holes everywhere. You go to that scene. What are you looking to pick up forensically?
Well, a scene like this actually is very rich in forensics. You can look at the trajectory holes themselves and identify where people were standing when they shot the weapon. But more importantly, the fired cartridge cases are really helpful in guiding our investigators as to who might be involved. And that is because in this day and age, we no longer need blood or semen or body fluid to get a DNA profile. We could actually get DNA profile from just someone handling something. So we are able to get DNA profiles from fired cartridge cases. And while that profile might not necessarily mean that that person loaded the weapon or shot it, it certainly gives our detectives some information as to where they should start looking.
And Lieutenant Colonel, it's obvious that there's a lot of people there. Someone knows who did this, obviously, and people on both sides may actually know. What would motivate them to potentially speak and give evidence to law enforcement?
There's not a whole lot. Unfortunately, in most cases, they will try to take the law into their own hands. If they know who did it, there's bound to be some vengeance involved in this situation.
Next story from KNXV in Phoenix. A carjacking survivor speaks out.
Gunshot first through the humerus, which landed about a pinky width away from my heart.
Karen Peterson still has the visual reminder of the shooting outside Desert Sky Mall, where she waited in her car to meet a friend when a man walked up.
And the second I start the car, he shoots me. Never said a word. And that's why I pulled forward, hit that little bump. He repositions himself in front, and I threw it in reverse, threw myself to the passenger seat.
Karen says that's when the guy shot her again. Here's a picture of her car with the bullet hole.
He said nothing. If he wanted my car, he could have had it. I would have filled it with gas. Go ahead.
Shot in her car, Karen called 911.
I have been shot twice.
The suspect, later identified as 38-year-old Richard Ruiz. Phoenix police say after shooting Karen, he carjacked the driver of a truck, then shot another man in the parking lot. That man seen hiding in surveillance video.
All right, we're in pursuit.
Throughout the crowded parking lot, officers after the stolen truck, trying to stop the seemingly random attacks, ultimately shooting and killing Ruiz.
I'm here for a reason, because I'm still here, so there must be something that I need to do.
Karen feels fortunate she survived, able to see her new grandchild, and says she's not mad at the shooter, but may never know why he pulled the trigger.
I'm glad it was me instead of someone else, because maybe they didn't have the support system, maybe they didn't have the belief, maybe they didn't have what they needed to get through it.
And today I talked with Phoenix police, and they tell me even now, more than 2 months later, they still don't know what prompted Ruiz to start shooting.
Amazing story of survival, but what should you do if you're being carjacked? This is a difficult situation. In this case, very unusual. He didn't speak. He said nothing, just started firing the gun. But Jennifer, what advice would you give to folks? You know, someone's got a gun. They're trying to take your car. How do you react? What do you do?
Well, if you can, nothing is worth being shot, and handing over the car, the keys, etc. would be the way to go. I don't think she had an opportunity to do any of those things. So all I can suggest is to be incredibly aware of your surroundings when you're in a parking lot. Make sure that you know who's around you, and be very cautious. A very alert person is more likely to notice someone that wants to do you harm.
Lieutenant Colonel, this is a difficult one because he didn't speak, said nothing, and looked like he was going after more victims. And in the end, law enforcement had no choice but to take his life.
That's correct. And what Jennifer just said was absolutely 100% correct. You want to absolutely cooperate. Don't try to fight back. This is a very unusual situation. This man appeared to be on some sort of a rampage. It's highly unusual that an individual that is carjacking will shoot first. Unless there is some fight back or something, the person resists, then they may get shot in most cases. but this is highly unusual for this man to have done this. I would venture to say that he has some psychological issues.
And in the end, what she was facing, Jennifer, was a man with a gun in front of her. She puts it in reverse, ducks out of the way. I guess the only other option was to put it into drive and go forward, but in the end, she did survive here. But that's a difficult split-second decision.
And I just commend her for that. I mean, how amazing to be able to think so quickly. I don't think she could go forward because of the barrier. So throwing it into reverse, moving to the side, she probably saved her life that way. And I just think that is incredible.
And she's with her grandchildren. That is awesome.
Yes.
All right, we've got a lot more to talk about here tonight. We've got some graphic video to show you coming up. A horrible story. A bunch of teen boys beating up a teen girl and robbing her, all caught on camera. That's next.
My granddaughter, her spirits are broke. She has a concussion. She has a lot of bruises, you know, but she'll be all right, but not right now. She just messed up, you know, she mentally messed up.
An absolutely maddening story. Next here on Crime Time comes from WPIX in New York. I'm going to warn you up front, some graphic video we're going to show you because we've got a group of teen boys that beat and rob a teen girl.
My granddaughter, her spirits are broke.
Pamela Thompson says her 15-year-old granddaughter is struggling following this gang-style attack Thursday on Utica Avenue in Crown Heights.
She has a concussion. She has a lot of bruises, you know, but she'll be all right, but not right now. She just messed up, you know, she mentally messed up.
Police say a large group of teen boys seen in this surveillance video repeatedly punched and kicked the girl until she was unconscious. They then took her Air Jordans right off her feet and stole her cell phone and debit card.
I've talked to downtown Police Plaza, and they said that it's 18 young men of interest. 18 young men of interest on this incident.
Community activists joined the teens' families Saturday afternoon to denounce the attack. 5 of the teens, ages 14 to 17, turned themselves into police Friday.
And I'm not a proponent of our young people being in jail, but at the end of the day, they've got to atone for the criminality committed on this corner.
As police look into a possible motive for this brutal attack, the family maintains the teen did nothing to provoke it. This woman, named June, says when she noticed the attack, she and a nearby man did their best to stop it.
We said, get off her, and run to them and tell them, get off her. I screamed until I lost my voice.
And those 5 teenagers have been charged with gang assault and robbery.
My question today from our experts is, would you arrest every one of them? You're talking about 18, 5 only right now have been arrested because they turned themselves in. Jennifer Shen, this is horrific video. Would you arrest every one of them?
I would arrest everyone that I could connect to that crime. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Lieutenant Colonel, I don't understand this. I don't understand how this even happens. It's kids with backpacks. It's a girl by herself, a teenage girl by herself, a group of teen boys, one after another after another. How does this even happen?
The only thing I can imagine that may explain this is perhaps the female, the victim in this case, may be affiliated or associated with a rival gang. That's the only thing. Absolutely doesn't make sense no matter how you look at it. But that's the only thing that would make me believe that these young men could possibly justify in their minds that this was okay. This is deplorable what we saw in this video. I just can't imagine. You know, when I was that age, I was raised never to hit a girl, and these young men were stomping this young woman, and they could have killed her.
They could have, absolutely. End up taking her shoes. And again, as Grandma says, no motive for this, no connection to anything. She's just and she's absolutely perplexed by why she was chosen as the victim here. Jennifer Shen, how would you try to use that video? do you think, be able to identify everyone? Do you need them to talk to about each other? How do you get to the bottom of this whole thing? Because this is more than just an attack. This is a problem.
Yes, it was very horrifying to watch. But you know what? There is a huge amount of forensic information at that scene. It was a pretty brutal beating, which means that there was a exchange of material from her to her attackers. So we would be able to find likely her blood, her sweat, her body fluids on, those boys, and we would be able to find their body fluids, sweat, etc. on her. We might be able to see shoe prints at the scene. Most times when there's something that is that violent and involved, people are dropping things. So there again, if we can just get some information about one or two of those attackers, then the detectives and the investigative personnel can use that information to go after the rest of them. So I would imagine there's a lot of forensic information from that scene.
All right, our final story tonight comes to us from WXYZ in Detroit. A doctor accused of drugging and raping women.
I am certified by the American Board of Surgery.
Dr. Manish Raj Gupta, seen here in a commercial on his website, Artesian Cosmetic Surgery. But the self-proclaimed good doctor is now locked in a jail cell. Here is his mugshot after being arrested on charges that would leave anyone angry and absolutely appalled.
To see all those charges and allegations and everything, it's just a little unsettling.
Illegally dispensing controlled substances, aggravated sexual assault, and sex trafficking. This woman, a past patient of the Toledo plastic surgeon, was shocked.
I did all my research and he had all the best, double board certified. He had all the best, anything you could want in your doctor.
Well, according to the FBI in Ohio, Gupta hired escorts. He drugged them and sexually assaulted them while they were unconscious. That is vile. And so is this. The feds also say Gupta recorded the innocent victims on SD cards from multiple cameras. According to the long arm of the law, this all happened in 2016, but it could have started as early as 2013. According to these documents, staff members at the surgery center in Ohio found videos that appeared to be several assaults about 6 years ago.
All these people knew about it and was nobody saying anything, or was this like this long investigation?
Gupta did not only see patients in Toledo, he once had an office right here in Metro Detroit, in Taylor on Telegraph. He was in private practice, but at one time was affiliated with Beaumont Hospital. I received this statement from the healthcare organization. Dr. Manish Gupta has not attended to any patients at any Beaumont Hospital for a decade. However, as a result of the charges he recently faces in Ohio, Beaumont has immediately revoked Dr. Gupta's dormant privileges to practice any medicine in our facilities. That being said, according to the hospital, police in Taylor, and FBI officials here at home, there have been no police reports, no complaints about the doctor in Metro Detroit.
All right, what kind of evidence would you look for in this case? Lieutenant Colonel, I'll start with you.
Well, if you listen to the video carefully, Vinny, I think there's indication there that he may have harmed a patient, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So I would be checking all of his records pertaining to any involvement he had with these escort services. There's probably going to be some victims involved that never came forth, and so I would be checking every single young lady that he may have had contact with that was a part of an escort service, and making sure that I interview them.
Jennifer Shen, how are you investigating this one?
Well, from the forensic side of things, someone who does this sort of thing starts with maybe a little smaller type crimes and moves their way up. So one of the things I would be very interested in doing is getting his sample so that we could put his DNA into the database where any unsolved crime where DNA was an issue is present, so that we might be able to connect this person to unsolved sexual assaults or unsolved crimes. And that would be very, very useful.
Jennifer Shen, Lieutenant Colonel Adam Lee, appreciate your expertise tonight. Thanks so much. Hope you'll come back for more.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
When we come back, folks, it's time to, law enforcement is exiting the show. It's time to bring in the lawyers, our think tank fired up. We're going to start off with the latest in the sentencing of Harvey Weinstein.